grip.
He is squeezed. Oh, he and Propelli hit.
Curran takes a look down the inside.
3 abreast into 12.
Under braking at the end of the straightaway. Side by side with Boris said, did he carry the momentum? No, a little slide.
Deep on the brakes. Once again down into 10A. They're still grinding on each other.
This is World Challenge. This is how racing should be. This is Sports Car Wars. Hi there, everybody. Let's get ready for 2 straight hours of great racing World Challenge style. As you can tell from the Stansbury Mountains behind me, we're in magnificent Utah at Miller Motorsports Park for the season finale. But just a couple of weekends ago, we were at Virginia International Raceway for a doubleheader. Intentions were high, and the championships, all 3 of them, were on the line. And at the end of the show, we've got something really special for you. Now let's go check in at Virginia International Raceway with my colleague, Greg Creamer.
Thanks, Tom. Welcome to our coverage of rounds 10 and 11. It is the Racekeeper VIR Grand Prix for World Challenge presented by SpecialOpsWatch.com. Great to have all of you here, and of course, this is spectacular. The weather is absolutely fantastic. However, there is a little bit of a chance of some rain in the forecast. That will only make things more interesting here. And of course, it all starts, as always, with qualifying. And on this track, it is a great challenge.
And some of the drivers certainly experienced that. First was Brett Sandberg, starting to get a little bit of rain here in this qualifying session for the 10th round, and it just got away from him in that very tricky exit of the S's. Later, the rain really came down. You can see Kuno Whitmer keeping it on track. Pat Lindsay, not so fortunate, a huge off. That brought out a red flag and kept him from being able to get to the start of the race. A very challenging track. Jason Daskalos gives us a look at the Racekeeper key corners.
Turn 1, little off camber, push a little bit, then going loose, easy on the gas, coming up to turn 2, fast left hand kink, 4th gear down to 3rd gear, coming up to turn 4, hard braking, 3rd gear, hit your rumble strips. Turn 6 is very important, leads on to a long straight, coming up to the S's, under the bridge, 4th gear, important to hit your marks here coming through the S's, very high speed section, 120 miles an hour, sweeping hard left, the VIR.
And that's a look at just a few of the key corners. Now let's get down for racing's most prestigious command, and Sharif Shahar from Racekeeper.
From your friends at Optima Batteries and Racekeeper, drivers, start your engines.
And a huge field comes to life here. By the way, GT qualifying lineup based on drivers' points after the red flag caused by Lindsay. There's your front row. Post is 7th pole. Kuno Whitmer 2nd in the championship. Those are the 2 going for it. James Safron is 3rd in the points, and Andy Pilgrim in the 2nd Volvo. Jason Daskalos and Rob Morgan make up our row 3. Row number 4 is going to be Jeff Courtney and an on-form Tony Gaples. In row number 5, Fred Roberts going for Rookie of the Year, and last year's Rookie of the Year, William Ziegler. Then in row number 6, Tommy Dreese returns in the Krager Corvette, and Jeff Altenberg in the Global Motorsports Group Porsche. Peter Cunningham extending his record 40th pole in his career alongside teammate Nick Asayan. Then Carl Podel and Kevin Helms fill out row number 8. We move to row 9. It's Tommy Sadler, crew chief for the Flying Lizards in the American Le Mans Series, and Stan Wilson returns. Ernie Jakubowski comes in 3rd at the points, and Todd Burris, a very emotional return, will explain that. Then Robert Stout, points leader in the touring cars, along with Devin Cates, Eric Meyer, 2nd in the points, and Greg Schaefer returns, but this time with the DG Spec team. Then Brett Sandberg and Michael Pettiford fill out row 13. Carl Hober makes a return, sharing a car this weekend, and Rob Holland fill out row 14. And as we take a look at the rest of the field, qualifying is important, and one of the prestigious awards from a great partner this year has been MTM SpecialOpsWatch.com. They give 1 watch away for the best move at each race. They have been a tremendous partner this year, and it is an award that all the drivers really aspire to. Here's why.
How to kiss it? Yes, contact! Dino Crescentini went straight through.
Eversley throwing the car around. This is multi-class racing. Randy gets sideways. Suddenly that car just skipped out on him.
Got a really great run on Dino out of turn 1 in Toronto. Carried the momentum all the way down that long back straight and closed the door on him going into the tight right-hander. And then they told me I got to watch for it. It was awesome.
You know, this watch has really been a big deal to me. It seems like such a small award, but it really means a lot. I got my first one in St. Pete and told myself I wasn't even going to wear it until I got another one because it's just a symbol of something, you know, that I've done that really means a lot to me. Managed to get the second one, and I'd be sure to wear that every chance I can. It's a great award to have.
What was more important, the move you made to win the watch or actually getting a free watch?
Getting a free watch, especially one as nice as the NTM Special Ops. It's insane. It has aircraft, you know, space age looking aluminum and titanium bits and then a carbon fiber face. It's really nice. It makes me think about doing crazy stuff on the track just so I can get another.
Hopefully I can snag another one this weekend.
Tom, I'm telling you, that watch about as high-tech as some of these cars.
You know, not only is it high-tech and a beautiful watch, but it's something that almost every driver wants to get, either to keep for themselves or to give to their crew chief. Let's take a look at the Race Keeper quad box right now. Kuno Whitmer running in the second spot. Then we go over to Jason Daskalos. He'll start in the 6th. And then we've got Fred Roberts in the number 89 car. He'll start 10th. And then Bill Ziegler in the Porsche. He'll start in the 11th spot. These are just some of the Race Keeper views that we've got as we get started for this race number 1 of 2 races here at Virginia International Raceway.
And you see the green flag at the back of the field. That means the grid is clear. It means we are ready to go racing. Kuno Whitmer made the comment, this is one of the toughest tracks to tune for because it's got both very fast corners, very slow corners, but it's very narrow. And thus it gives you a very small window to set up for. We're about to find out how that played out. We're going. We are green, and Randy Popes absolutely hammered that start. Beautiful, that all-wheel drive Volvo hooking up completely. P.D. Cunningham, a good launch, as did Stout in contact. That was, that is Sofronis, and it is, of course, Daskalos. A huge spin. Keeps it off of the barriers. That's a beautiful save. Now trying to get it back on track, and it steps out on him again. A little bit of a half spin, but the good news is no contact. Let's take a look at it, Tom.
I'll take a look at Jason Daskalos on the right side there. Looks like he might be just ordering a pizza. Very calm, keeping it together. But when he gets out onto the grass, that's where everything starts to go wrong. Accelerates a little bit too hard here, and then starts to slide out. Meanwhile, we're back in the S's, Greg.
And this is spectacular. This run, this S's is a spectacular one, but even more so. Watch this up through here. Look at that attack. Post, Whitmer, Pilgrim, then Sofronis, then Gaples, having himself a great weekend so far, as is this man. Randy Popes comes in with a sizable lead in the championship. Whitmer with an outside shot. Whitmer's got to have the weekend of his career right now to make this championship alive, but right now he's dealing with Andy Pilgrim, who is hunting.
Andy Pilgrim almost had a brilliant start to get by Kuno Whitmer, but he did the old left-right deal, and Kuno Whitmer had him in his rearview mirror. Very fortunate to end up second here in between these two Volvos.
Interesting mix, and of course this long straight you think would play into that Viper's strengths, but right now doing well. Here's Ernie Jakubowski, who comes in here third in the points championship, even though it's an abbreviated championship, squeezed in between those two real-time cars, and there's Daskalos just blowing by everybody, trying to make his way back up through the pack as we watch them down through the roller coaster ride that is the back section of this track, Tom.
Now onto the front straightaway for the first time. At speed changes this whole track's character as we go back to look at the Corvette of Tommy Dreese. This is the battle for 9th, and Dreese going down that front straightaway side by side with Jeff Altenberg.
Altenberg filling in for Dino Crescentini, and of course it's the first time he's driven the series this year. Let's go back and take a look at our Optima Batteries best standing start, and Rob Holland absolutely canned one. He's off there in the red, the number 22 VW. What a great launch he had.
You know, Rob Holland brings all of his experience to World Challenge, and it's paying off for him now.
Well, Holland was up 7 spots, but Ernie Jakubowski started at the back of the GTS field. He's second, and that makes for a happy crew chief.
Tell us about the start for Ernie Jakubowski.
Yeah, Ernie made a great start. He got a good jump on the car ahead of him. Got right up behind Peter, got in front of Nick. Great start.
Well, you can see it from the onboard. It was a blistering start. Now we hop on board with Brett Sandberg, who's running in the touring car category, sitting in the 5th spot, or this is the battle for 5th. He's 6 and all over the back of the 41 of Mike Pettiford.
You know, the thing that Brett Sandberg brings to World Challenge Racing in these sports car wars is he's always ready to stick his nose in there, and he's always making something happen. Generally, he's on the highlight reel too, Greg.
Yeah, he is exciting in that Whitehall stable Acura TSX, doing a great job. But here he gets down the inside of Pettiford. Now the question is Pettiford alongside? You bet, side by side, down into that very tricky turn 1. And it is a little off camber, as Jason Daskell has told you. You watch Sandberg push wide. Pettiford read that beautifully. That was what you call an over-under. Beautiful, but not quite good enough. Sandberg keeps that spot. Boy, I tell you, some great cut and thrust racing.
Now, those two guys are definitely trusting each other on the track today.
Well, some great battles to be found in every one of our classes, certainly. This one has been compelling, so we've been watching it. Here's a look at the top 4 in each of the 3 classes. This is GT. There is GTS. Cunningham continues to run out front. And in touring cars, Burris has the point. Today's coverage of the World Challenge Championships is brought to you by Sunoco, the official fuel of World Challenge. By Invisible Glass, the official car care product of World Challenge. And by GoRacingTV.com. We're back at the Racekeeper VIR Grand Prix presented by MTMSpecialOpsWatch.com. Round 10 of the 12-round championship. There is a look at P.D. Cunningham. Absolutely the legend of World Challenge competition, Tom.
Now, the winningest driver in sports cars of any other driver in North America, but it's hard to get him to talk about it. He's such a modest guy. He's your leader right now, and as you can see, there's a lot of real estate between him and second place.
Yeah, and he's had just a stunning season in this first ever season of GTS competition. Not a surprise there, but over 190 starts. He leads in every category, and he leads these guys right now as we're on board with Nick Assay and his teammate in the real-time Eibach Springs Acura as he is chasing Ernie Jakubowski in that beautiful Porsche Cayman S. This is one of the great runs Ernie's put together this year.
You know, that Cayman S was the first ever Cayman S race car built in the world. He did a special deal with Porsche Canada to get that car just a little bit earlier than the rest of the production cars. And Ernie has had a good long career with Porsche. Mantis Racing, his shop, is almost exclusively Porsche. He also plays in the 944 Cup. He was the 2008 champion of the 944 Cup, which was created in association with World Challenge. In fact, Nick Assayan, the guy who's running him down right here, has done some 944 Cup racing already this weekend, right?
This weekend, yeah, it's one of the support series for the feature that is World Challenge competition, and it's producing some pretty darn good racers. And of course, this is a place where they can aspire to. Nick Assayan is having fun.
NTEC got in touch with me and said, hey, we know you guys are coming to VIR. We'd love to have some World Challenge guys hop in the car with us. Today, I got up to speed. I think got up to 7th place in the race, and we had a nice time.
Well, it's a real treat for our drivers to be matched up against a real pro. All the years of club racing, and here they have their first chance to go out there and match up. It's a grassroots series intended for drivers, run by drivers, with the idea of making it fun and affordable.
There's so many things on a car that you wind up having to replace, tires and fuel. And it just makes it easy. You can come out with your family and just enjoy the day instead of having to work on a car.
The first thing I received when I came back after the first session was a pink box of Tic Tacs sitting next to my driver's suit. That's all right. Take a look at it at the front tomorrow.
Absolutely, and you saw Carl Podel also giving a little bit of a run in that Porsche 944 Cup Series as well. Uh-oh, problems. This is Tommy Dreese, the Gulliver's Travels Krager Wheel CRP Racing Corvette, making his return to World Challenge after not being around since Long Beach. This is not the way he wanted that to happen, Tom. Let's see if we can figure out what happened.
Well, Tommy Dreese bouncing over the curbs here in the S's, and let's just see. It looks like he's got a gearbox full of neutrals there. If you look at the right side picture, as he just kind of glides to a stop. Not much else he can do, but this is a pretty intelligent driving right here, even if he is going backwards.
Yeah, back it off, get it into a little bit safer area. Meanwhile, here are your leaders as they are now working up through some of the GTS and touring car traffic. That's one of the things about this long track here. It allows you opportunities to get by, but if you get caught in the wrong spot, it can cost you dearly.
Now, you have to time it perfectly. You saw James Safronis using his headlights there, saying, here I am, look for me coming at the next corner. Now they're starting to get used to this 3-category format, and World Challenge has got to be some of the best sports car racing in North America right now.
Oh, and look at this move. Randy Popes right down in between Petey Cunningham, who was your leader in the GTS category, and I believe that was Karen Quila that he snuck through as well. That was a brilliant piece of driving. That's how you get through traffic and don't get held up. He knew if he got stuck behind those guys, it was going to cost him in these twisty bits.
I'm pretty sure he saw the number 43 in the back of that Acura and said, that's Cunningham. He sees me. I think I can pull this off.
Well, obviously, two of the very best on the planet. You talked about Petey being the winningest driver. Arguably, Randy Pope, maybe the second winningest driver in North America. Once again, here's a look at the top 4 in the overall and GT category. Here is your look at the GTS category. Jakubowski, a great run. Burris, Stout, and Schaefer, along with Rob Holland. Lots of action unfolding at the Racekeeper VIR Grand Prix presented by MTMSpecialOpsWatch.com. One of them was right at the start. This start by Ernie Jakubowski. Spectacular.
That's one for the record books and his own highlight reel.
Here's another one. Robert Stout. He had a good launch, but Todd Burris says enough. It comes by. And then Kuno Whitmer. Boy, talk about a big hit, both literally as he gets into those tires hard and also in the championship.
Yeah, he did not need this to happen. He needs to stay close to that number 6 Volvo.
And here is a look at James Safronis as he gets underneath Andy Pilgrim and picks up the second spot. You can see it started to rain about halfway through this one. And that made this battle, which is for third in the touring cars, awfully interesting. On board with Brett Sandberg. And that is Greg Schaefer this weekend in the DG Spec Scion. Number 36 squeezes through as they head down the hill out of turn 14.
Down by Hogpen there. Those two guys in the pitch battle. And Sandberg, when he's in it, it's always going to be exciting.
Boy, he just glued himself right to the back of Schaefer here as they come down the hill. This is that tricky corner. You just start feeding it power. And as we talked about, this track narrow, he got a brilliant run, comes right back down underneath, and they are side by each down this long front straightaway here, heading down into turn 1. Sandberg is there, but you see, he's still not shifting over to the left, and there's a reason for that. He's got some company alongside. Schaefer, absolutely determined to run him hard, finally has to give way.
Great racing in the touring car category. Now here's something, oh wow, you never see in GTS. The number 43 car, Peter Cunningham, comes to a stop on pit lane. And Peter Cunningham, quite obviously, a little emotional about that. Let's take another look, Greg.
Man, Petey Cunningham, Mr. Cool, and you can tell this one was big as he comes down the hill, apparently. All right, he's got a car off. That wasn't part of his issue, but you see there, he slows down, and you can hear something bobbling there, Tom.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like it's gearbox oriented, but you can see him trying to shift something there.
Then he reaches over electronics.
Trying to maybe switch over to another coil. Well, there's a restart in pit lane. He's trying to get over the start-finish line, I think.
Wow, unbelievable development from the lead, folks. That was huge. Meanwhile, here's Robert Stout, and that car up front is Todd Burris. And that is the gap, first to second in touring cars. Robert Stout, an amazing season. But Todd Burris, he won the opening 2 rounds at St. Pete, then came here for a race in a different series, had a huge crash, broke ribs, had neck trauma. This is his first race back, an emotional weekend, puts it on pole and lead.
Well, so far he's led in every single World Challenge race he's been in an Irish Mike's car. That's not a bad bit of pedigree there. And there's Robert Stout in the number 18 car trying to run him down, and another glimpse of Kuno Whitmer.
Meanwhile, here comes Randy Popes down the front straight. White flag is out. Randy Popes on the way for his 4th win, perhaps, and a better lock on the championship with Kuno's problems. Everything going Randy's way today. Meanwhile, here is your GTS battle. There is Ernie Jakubowski. Remember, with Petey's problems, Ernie finds himself in the lead. Then he's got Mike Pettiford as a buffer back to Nick Kasayan, and Nick Kasayan gets through. This is the battle for the lead in GTS. It is close.
You know, the grip isn't what it could be here because there's some moisture in the track, and that's why Mike Pettiford can basically stay with these guys. But this is monumental for Mantis Racing's Ernie Jakubowski. Has an opportunity to put one in the win column here.
Yeah, and it's interesting. You would think with a bit of moisture on the track, that front-wheel drive car of Kasayan would be the one, but he's the one struggling, and that Porsche came and getting the power down beautifully. beautifully. Now, up through these S's. Damp track. It is sketchy. Meanwhile, Randy Popes working his way now around the exceptional corners here at Virginia International Raceway. Coming up on some of this traffic. He's coming up on that GTS lead battle. Knifing through. That's Pettiford now in front. Then is Sand, and up in front of him is Jakubowski. Delicate stuff here. You've got to be careful. And Randy Pope's pretty experienced dealing with traffic.
Not only that, look at the straight line handling he'll have on the rest of the field here, as he'll just absolutely blow by these two GTS competitors just to get back to the start-finish line for that picture-perfect start, or rather finish at the checkered flag.
Smart move there by Hassan, tucking in behind Randy, trying to get any kind of a tow. Look at Randy, even with that all-wheel drive. It is damp enough. That turned into 14 on the limit. Just dicing on that wheel a little bit. Now plummeting down the hill. Just an amazing sequence of corners here. And you can see he's staying off a little bit of the normal dry line here because there's a bit more grip in the other spots of the track where it isn't so polished. Now onto the front straight. Here he comes. Randy Popes off of his 7th pole is going to nail his 4th win of the season. An awesome run. Meanwhile, watching as we're on board with Nick is saying, Ernie Jakubowski brings home the win in GTS. His first win in an abbreviated first season of racing. And for Todd Burris, batting 1,000.
Yeah, not bad at all. When you enter 3 World Challenge races, you win all 3. And with the VW contingency, that makes a big difference in the paycheck.
Well, here are the results. Pope, Safronis, and Pilgrim, your top 3. The big story there, Whitmer in 4th, losing precious points. We take a look down at the rest of the field. Now, there is your winner in the GTS category. Ernie Jakubowski is saying, and Kevin Helms, another solid race. Then Todd Burris and Robert Stout. It was close, but Burris getting the job done. But Stout going for those great championship points. The 18-year-old continues an absolutely remarkable season.
Yeah, he has had an unbelievable season here as we see the rest of the field. Stan Wilson, not with a great day in that SRT4. Carl Podol also did not start this race.
When we come back, we'll visit with our winners. Today's coverage of the World Challenge Championships is being brought to you by MTMSpecialOpsWatch.com, the official watch of World Challenge, and by RaceKeeper, the official video data system of the World Challenge Championships. We're back, everybody. Here is a look at our Game Streamer instant replay of the race in sketchy conditions. The 2-wheel drive Porsche gets underneath the all-wheel drive Volvo. Safronis through on Pilgrim. That was for second. And the guy they were chasing, this man, Randy Popes, he is on his way into victory circle, and so is Tom Natchez.
Well, the K-Pax Volvo was hot, and the conditions got funky with that drizzle. But with all-wheel drive, the Toyo tires can handle that wet, and we were just going for it, right? And coming down the straight, in the moment that I scared my race team owner, Bob Rubb, was I caught a touring car and a GTS car. And rather than, I don't know, lining up or going side by side, they left me a little hole down the middle. Well, I'm not going to lift, Tom. Right down the middle. Whoa! Readjust the mirrors, but you can't slow down when you got guys like the World Challenge GT field chasing you.
And it was that move that becomes the MTMSpecialOpsWatch.com best move of the race. Here it is. Absolutely beautiful. He found that hole. Like he said, I'm not lifting. I'm going to take care of it. And through he went on lap 12. And Todd Burris remains perfect in touring cars. Here's Tom.
Well, Todd Burris, it's official. Every single time you enter a World Challenge race in an Irish Mike's car, you win it. That's not bad.
That's great. 3 for 3. It's been awesome, man. The car was great. When it started raining, I thought, uh-oh, but it was good. Awesome. Toyo did great.
You're racing some pretty good talent there as well. And of course, their points leader, Robert Stout, had something to prove here today.
You know, the competition here is incredible. You know, Robert, when I raced him in the beginning of the series, was really good. Now he's phenomenal. The kid was right on my bumper the whole time. In the rain, didn't bother him. It was great. The kid, he deserves everything he gets. It was awesome.
And our Sunoco Hard Charger Award comes in the touring cars as well. Rob Holland in that red number 22 Emic VW GTI. He was up 5 spots in lap 1 there. He makes a pass on Schaefer and gets the Sunoco Hard Charger Award. Our Manufacturers Fan Championship, though, it was Volvo. They turned out in droves, and it was a no-brainer. They were so supportive of this team this week, and the fans showed up. There is the crowd. They were behind their manufacturer, and it paid off big time. Meanwhile, Ernie Jakubowski, a win. Tom.
First of all, you had a great standing start and able to hold out the number 34 car all race long.
Yes, we did. We had it in hand. We're working on the car, and the car's getting better. And I kind of like the track, too, but the rain helped a little bit. I kind of like racing in the rain, so I'm not as worried about it.
And, of course, some of his joy came at the despair of this guy. Petey Cunningham leading, had an electrical problem into the pits. We managed to catch up with him.
I don't know if we lost a battery or what, but just the electric shut off, and that was it. So not a good day, but oh well. That's motor racing.
Well, and this is a huge doubleheader weekend for World Challenge at Virginia International Raceway, so they get another crack at it, and that will be coming up when we come back. Welcome back to the Racekeeper VIR Grand Prix presented by MTMSpecialOpsWatch.com. Round 11 of the 12-Race Championship, the second of the doubleheader here at glorious Virginia International Raceway. That's a look at the exit of the legendary Oak Tree Turn. And, folks, it is time for those special words. Let's go to Rob Story, his last race with SCCA, and he has a very special guest.
From our friends at Optima Batteries and Racekeeper.
Shay and drivers, start your engines.
All right. Woohoo! All right, indeed. Jordan, a special member of the Shea Holbrook clan, and Rob on his way out of racing back to college for a master's degree. Good for him. Presentation lap gets underway. Let's get to the starting lineup for this 11th round of the championship. In his 95th start, Andy Pilgrim gets his first pole of the season. Great job, joined by Kuno Whitmer. An outside chat at the championship. Randy Popes on the inside of the second row. Then Sophronis alongside the Gaples. A great qualifying effort. His career best with Daskalos. Then Rob Morgan and Jeff Altenberg. Then Tommy Dreesy and Jeff Courtney. And in row 6, Ontario's Fred Roberts and Florida's Bill Ziegler. And then in row 7, Peter Cunningham and Nick Isayan. And a huge story here, folks, in that race. Remember, Ernie Jakubowski crossed the line with the win. He was found in post-race tech to be just a smidge too low. Rules are rules. Nick Isayan gets his first ever win in his 75th start. Good for Nick, to be sure. Well done indeed. And then, of course, Todd Burris continues his great run you saw in touring cars with another pole there. What an amazing story here is. And that sets up our grid for this 11th round of the championship. And, folks, there are championships to be decided, to be sure. And it comes down to excellence in terms of racecraft, Tom.
Well, you know, all of these guys that show up here in this little graphic here have the championship to win. Now, it's mathematically possible for them to lose, but look at the names. Popes, Cunningham, and Robert Stout. They have all had brilliant careers and great seasons.
Well, that's a fact. Kathy Malik high jumps to clear the grid. We are ready to go. When the lights go out, we're racing with round 11. And an immense launch by the two Volvos. Wow, did they get off strong? That all-wheel drive working this time. And then everything getting close quarters racing. Oh, that was a big hit. Sadler in the 36 of Schaefer. And it looked like Schaefer may have speared into the wall. We have cars everywhere as Schaefer is absolutely parked. Tom, let's take another look at it. That was a big moment.
Well, you know, when you get this close quarters here and everybody's running side by side, just a single touch can touch this off. You see what happens up in front, and this is all going to come back across the track to the other side. Holy smoke, you don't want to be behind this.
Well, you can see cars fanning everywhere, and Schaefer is going to be on the strap. His day may well be done. Meanwhile, up front, Pilgrim and Popes 1-2 with Whitmer, and then Daskalos, and then Altenberg. Jeff Altenberg, the 07 touring car champ, but he's done some GT racing, and after kind of finding his feet in round 10, because he had no time in that car to speak up, these great shots up to these S's is spectacular. Altenberg now knows the car. He certainly knows the track. This could be fun.
Jeff Altenberg, always been a great competitor. Wonderful to have him back in World Challenge. But look at Andy Pilgrim in that red-mirrored Volvo S60. I'll tell you something about that in a little while, but this is a very unique automobile, and he's leading in it.
Boy, doing a great job. And by the way, folks, with Popes getting by Whitmer, if the Volvos go 1-2 like this, they will clinch the Manufacturers' Championship. So that launch by Randy from that third starting spot, huge. Oh, Quila having a big off in her Go For It Racing School's Hawk VW. See if we can watch what happens here.
Just gets high-sided on the curb a little bit there, loses traction. As you can see, Carolyn Quila does the smart thing, waits for it all to finish, then starts to add a little bit of lock and then gets going.
And she gathers it up and continues. She did what you're supposed to do. They say in all the driving schools, CPR, correct, pause, recover. That's exactly how she played it out. Boy, Andy Pilgrim is starting to haul away at the front. Whitmer, though, closing up on Popes. Here's the rest of the field streaming through. And here is Randy, as he is, as I said, trying to fend off Whitmer, but up front, Pilgrim just easing away.
It gets through turn 1 so well there. But this is where the Volvos really shine, is through these small S's and then the big S's when they really get going. Andy Pilgrim having the time of his life. But I was going to tell you about this car. The red mirrored car is the media car. Just yesterday, it had a right seat in it.
Unbelievable what they're doing with it here. Now let's go back and take a look at our Optima Batteries best standing start. Don Istook in his VW, an absolutely brilliant launch. Gets the good launch here. Now watch what happens when everything unfolds up in front, Tom. This is where he makes up a bunch of spaces.
They start to thread the needle here. Puts 4 wheels on the grass, and Don Istook, the Texan, never lifts. What a brilliant drive by Don Istook. He deserves that one.
That's called just keeping it gassed.
That's right.
Wow.
Might as well, because when chaos, from that arrives opportunity. Don Istook took advantage of it.
Boy, didn't he? And Andy Pilgrim, as you said, he made the comment when he hopped in that car as we go on board. We're riding with Robert Stout as he is once again, well, he must be getting a little tired of chasing Todd Burris and seeing that car in front of him all the time. But Stout, look at the attack he's in. Both of them using up every bit of racetrack and some of the dirt on the other side. Stout down the inside. This is the approach up into the famous Oak Tree turn. That is turn 10, I believe, and he got in there beautifully. Now can Burris come back? Boy, he dirtied up Burris' windshield.
Certainly, he's got a big face full of that Virginia dirt now. Let's take a look at Devin Cates' start now, as Devin Cates has come over from the Mustang Challenge, and he very nearly gets caught up in that one. And Don Istook still on the gas, goes blowing straight by him.
And now we are on board with Alex Radcliffe in the King Rat car just for his perspective on this. He's all over the debris and just gets down underneath. And oh, look at this. There's Cates. The door popped open on that car. Boy, lots going on in that moment.
Out of Oak Tree, Devin Cates just leans over and closes it.
Unbelievable. Meanwhile, up front it is the 2 Volvos leading it overall and in the GT category with Whitmer third. GTS Cunningham leads over Jakubowski, and in touring cars, Burris ahead of Stout. We'll be back to Virginia International Raceway. Back at the Racekeeper VIR Grand Prix presented by MTMSpecialOpsWatch.com. Round 11 well and truly underway. P.D. Cunningham leading in the GTS division. And yesterday's problem turns out it was a failed crank sensor. Just one of those fluky little things, Tom.
It doesn't happen very often, but it's also something that you don't check every single time. You assume it's going to work, but some of the crank sensors actually have a plastic body.
Boy, and Randy Pope's coming up on Kevin Helms. Helms getting his first podium in round 10 yesterday. On board, what a shot.
There you see the AST shock absorber working. Everybody will tell you, if you're setting up for VIR, you're going to have a good shock setup, and that AST is certainly getting a workout.
Boy, and doing the job, the DBA Carbotech Acura entry. Meanwhile, there is Andy Pilgrim, and you can see Whitmer has gone around Pope's, picked up that second spot, and that's big in terms of both the Drivers' Championship and in the Manufacturers' Championship. So this is going to be very interesting right here. Look at Whitmer hammering through those S's. That's one of the great sequence of corners in racing, period.
Yeah, he's got to go. And, it's not just that he has in second place. What he really needs is for Randy Popes to go way back. I don't think that's going to happen.
Meanwhile, we've got an immense battle going on for 4-3 cars. You're on board with James Safronis in 6, the blue and white Global Motorsports Group Porsche. His teammate for the weekend, Jeff Altenberg, who certainly has gotten comfortable with that StopTech Porsche in a big hurry. And then Jason Daskalos in 4th of the Daskalos Developments Viper out of Oak Tree. This long run down the big straight here, heading up into that turn 14 and the plummet down the hill. And looks as though we've got somebody a rough ride. He gathered it up. Boy, big moment there for the 28 of Sandberg.
Another highlight reel moment for Brett Sandberg. Meanwhile, the leaders are starting to work traffic. This is always an interesting part of every World Challenge race.
Well, yeah, this is the first year since, 99? We're running multiple classes, and it certainly makes it interesting, especially when your overall leaders come up on the GTS Class Battle. Back on board this battle with Safronis. That is the orange tail of Altenberg, the white Viper of Daskalos, as they pull out and make the big pass on the 04 of Kevin Helms. It comes slicing through. Let's see if anybody can take advantage of that traffic moment. Not at this time. Safronis from way back thought about it, but he owns the car in front. He doesn't want to hit that.
Yeah, what kind of team orders are going on here? Does Jeff Altenberg let him go, or does he pass Daskalos?
Well, sometimes the best defense is a good offense, and it's like, no, I'm going to get somebody in between me and that guy. even though he does own the car. Altenberg, I think he's enjoying his run back in World Challenge. He has done some GT racing before, but boy, is he having a good one today.
I remember Jeff Altenberg when he was driving a Trans Am car, and everybody said the kid was way over his head then. What a season he had in Trans Am. Actually, a couple of seasons, he ended up Rookie of the Year there.
And look at Daskalos just dropping those tires on the outside of the curbing, throwing up some dirt in Sofronis's face. Sometimes you think, obviously you're trying to straighten those turns out, but it doesn't hurt to dissuade the guy behind you a little bit, throw some junk in his face.
Also doesn't hurt to hook those production Toyos on the outside of the curb, give you a little bit more grip there.
Oh, what a move! Sorry, Tom, but what a great move by Sofronis, but then he got in a little too hot, runs it wide, and gathers it back up. Boy, Sofronis is in aggressive mode today, glued to the back of Daskalos.
Now, it's all about the draft here. This straightaway's longer than you think, and you get going up a couple of hills here. The only way James Sofronis will stay with him is to stay in the draft. Meanwhile, Greg, let's go back to touring car.
Oh, and look at this beautiful move by Stout. You don't see that often, an outside in going through Oak Tree. Now, the question is Burris alongside? You can see he is from the onboard shot. They are absolutely door handle to door handle down this long, winding, climbing, dropping back straight as they're up and through the hills here and heading toward turn 14, and it's very difficult to go side by side through 14. It's going to be interesting to see how this one settles out. Here we come, starting to fade into the corner, and oh, it is still there. It is that close, folks. Boom! A little bit of a touch. That's World Challenge Racing. Burris hangs on.
That's Sports Car Wars, supercharged versus turbocharged. Those two guys side by side all the way up the straightaway. Man, I can hardly stand this.
And then we get right back to this battle again. Sofronis all over the back of Daskalos. Daskalos a little wide of the apex. Sofronis shows the nose. Sofronis dropping the hammer on the Porsche. He's through. Boy, he knifed through that absolutely beautifully. And look behind those boys. Oh, but Sofronis off again. Boy, he makes a great pass. Then he just throws it off the track. Then he makes a pass, and he has an off again. He is driving literally the wheels off this car, and I don't mean off the car itself, but right into the dirt. But he's throwing everything at it in this one. Some great stuff. Meanwhile, Burris and Stout, it's still on.
Yeah, these two guys going nose to tail now. As you can see, Robert Stout making the shift. There's no sequential shifter in a touring car. They're doing all of this straight up. Look at Todd Burris making that car very, very wide, but Stout trying to go around the outside. How's that not going to work?
All right, so a little off-roading for the Scion. Stout gets it back on track, doesn't lose much time. Take a look at the leaderboards. GT, Pilgrim continues to lead Whitmer, Popes, and Altenberg. GTS, Cunningham over Hussein and Jakubowski with Helms in fourth, and Burris in this battle. Stout, but Holland and Pettiford right there. We're back. The Racekeeper VIR Grand Prix presented by MTMSpecialOpsWatch.com. Phenomenal action here, but as you can see, we are under a full course caution. Let's take you to some highlights here. First of all, a big moment here in our race recap. Rob Morgan having a great race, but gets mugged a little bit by Jason Daskalos, and
smoke.
Off track he goes.
Mugged is the right way to say that. He just shoved him straight off the track.
And unfortunately, there's a thing called karma, and it apparently did little damage to Jason's car because suddenly he can't get it to turn, gets it back on track, but he makes a stop at what they call the south pit lane on the far side of the track. And you can see his day is done. Meanwhile, P.D. Cunningham, the onboard, but the story is up front. Watch Kuno Whitmer. That's Oak Tree. Runs wide, runs wider, and boom. Yep, stuffs it in. Watch this angle, Tom.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, Kuno Whitmer probably had this thing in reverse before he hit the ball. There is the damage, and there is some debris on the track. That's why we're under full course yellow.
And we are about, though, to go back to green. They got it cleared up quickly. There is the restart, and Pilgrim leads away with Post. So look at Morgan. He's obviously got a little red mist going, and he is determined to make some ground up here. A beautiful restart by Morgan. Look at him coming up alongside, trying to get by both Whitmer and Altenberg. Here comes Sofronis down underneath, and Whitmer, obviously that car is a little bit damaged. Morgan gets sideways again over in turn one, but hangs on to it, still sits in fifth, but Jeff Altenberg now up into third, and Whitmer in trouble. That car at a crawl.
Oh, that's just too bad for the 13 car, the whole Woodhouse Performance team. There was a championship in hand here, but now it's the two Volvos out front, and as you can see, man, they're pouring the gas to it with the Porsches.
And keep in mind, folks, Pilgrim is doing it in last year's car. He said he got behind the wheel and said, feels like an old pair of slippers. I'm liking the ride. And Andy Pilgrim, like Volvo, yes, they're into high performance, but they're also into safety. The driver education program in this country is inadequate, and Andy has done something about it.
Well, the whole thing is motivated by the lousy accident statistics for teenagers. We lose almost 7,000 teenagers a year, and that just came to my attention a while ago, and 6 years ago I made the first Driving Zone video, and the second one, we're about 7 weeks away from finishing Driving Zone 2. So it's really a motivation to just help the kids. It's the information they need after driver's ed. It's not about driver's ed, it's the stuff they really need when they start driving on their own. I squeeze my car keys before I get in a car because I got a lot of things in my mind, and it's basically a physical action. It's kind of like when I put my racing gloves on and I squeeze them together. My mind then says, okay, you're in a race car, idiot. Concentrate. People, individuals are trying to change, but there's not a nationwide blanket thing that's going on. So I just have to work on my bit and try and do what I can, and the new video hopefully is going to get in a lot of schools and a lot of education systems. We're going to try and raise a lot of money so we can give it away, but initially we'll sell it and the money will go to my foundation so that I can give more away. So if you buy one, hopefully that means I can give 2 away. So the whole point is to just get it out there. The end of October, beginning of November, people will be able to actually get it.
Want to get a hold of one of those DVDs? It's AndyPilgrimFoundation.org. Why don't you buy 2 and give one to your neighbor's kid as well?
One of the best ideas I have heard in a long time. And we are on board with Andy Pilgrim as he is leading from pole. He has led every lap. I tell you what a great story here for Andy. He struggled this year with the new car, and now we hop back on board with James Safranis going after his teammate, Jeff Altenberg. And Altenberg knowing that's the team leader coming along. And I think also the fact that James is in a bit of a battle for points, even though he may not be in it anymore for the championship, still to have a good points finish, and Altenberg not making it too tough. And Tom, one of the great things about this series is you can pay attention to it with social media.
Well, let's start with a website, world-challenge.com, for all of the latest news and views on World Challenge. Or even better, world-challengetv.com. Cool in-car video, drivers' interviews, and you can watch the complete race and all other World Challenge races online at world-challengetv.com.
And you get to see legends like Cunningham, like Asayan, like Pilgrim, like Popes. And this battle, look at this. 5 cars. That is your top 5, folks, in the GT category. And Rob Morgan having an amazing run. His best of the season. And Jeff Altenberg showing what he's capable of with a little time in the car. And here is the battle in the touring cars. Championship on the line here. Burris leads it, but Stout right there in second. These two have been absolutely at it. And they're coming up on some traffic. This is the GTS category, but they're staying close, and they're getting into the twisty bits where these cars can really make a difference. And you can see Stout closing in as Burris bogged just a little bit through the oak tree. Now it should open up in terms of straight open. Meanwhile, here we go. Andy Pilgrim is going to get it done. As you pointed out, Tom, after a tough season, he gets his win, and deservedly so from pole. An amazing run for him. And there is a look as he's slowing it down, enjoying this moment.
It's great. The whole K-Pax team out on the lawn there. Now we go to Peter Cunningham in the GTS category, kind of making up for the previous round here at VIR.
Yep, bringing home his career record-extending 39th win. Just an amazing season for him once again. And here is Robert Stout, and he's tucked in behind Burris. And this is going to be a second-place finish as Burris goes 4 for 4. But for Stout, it is a championship clinching second-place finish. In fact, all 3 of the drivers who could clinch today did. What an amazing season. The youngest ever champion in World Challenge history. What a great story. Let's take a look at our final results. Pilgrim with the win, but Popes with the championship. That 1-2 clinches it for Volvo. Jeff Altenberg, that 4th. Rob Morgan, a career best 5th. That's Altenberg's best ever GT finish. In the GTS category, Cunningham, Asayan, Jakubowski, and Helms running together. Then Burris, Stout, Holland, Pettiford, and Brandon Peterson filling out the top 5 in the touring car category. And you can see Tommy Sadler there, not quite having the run he did in round 10, but nonetheless, great to have him in the championship. And then a couple of the drivers. Eric Meyer, his 2nd race in a row. He came in with a shot at the championship, ends up with 2 DNFs. And there's Andy Pilgrim celebrating. And when we come back, we'll visit with podium finishers and champions.
Well, Andy Pilgrim, after a year of relative frustration here at VIR, it all comes right.
Unbelievable, man. Unbelievable. This, I've got to say, K-Pax Racing, awesome. Volvo, amazing. Got a glow to support here. And basically, the 3R guys put together last year's car last night because we've been so frustrated with the new car. We couldn't get it right all year. There were major problems in the race yesterday with major overheating. It's been the same way all year. They put this thing together. We put it on the track. We get the pole. We win the race. What can I say? I'm just thrilled. Couldn't be happier.
And it came right for the entire team. Randy Popst, with his finish, clinches the championship. You see Safronis, Whitmer, Pilgrim, and Daskalos, the top 5. And for the manufacturers, that finish gives Volvo the manufacturers championship with the race to go as well. Just an amazing season for that K-Pax program. Meanwhile, our game streamer instant replay of the race, it was this battle between Burris and the VW. On board with Stout, and they were at it like this for laps. And that battle continued right up to the checkered flag, but in the end, it was Todd Burris coming by and picking it up. He's in victory circle.
Todd, we said it yesterday, 3 in a row. Now it's 4 in a row. When's this going to stop?
I hope not at Miller. Wow, it was hot. I think competitors were amazing. We went door to door, bumper to bumper, got into each other a little bit, or he got into me a little bit, and what a race, what a series, what a great thing. Toyos, SCCA Pro, World Challenge, Hugh, it's more than you can ask for.
Todd Burris, one happy camper.
Well, a great brief season for Todd Burris, but when you take a look at the points, that second place finish by Stout clinches the championship. He's the youngest ever champion in World Challenge history at 18, and also Scion has clinched the Manufacturers Championship, the first ever for a Toyota brand. An amazing moment there. Now, speaking of amazing moments, a Sunoco Hard Charger Award goes to Charlie Solomon in the Dr. Natasha Mazda. 11 positions he made up, ended up finishing 6th in the touring class. And meanwhile, P.D. Cunningham, another win in GTS.
Well, Peter Cunningham had a pretty good day, too, in the number 43 TSX.
Oh, yeah, much better than yesterday. Right from the start, my Acura ran great and was able to gap second place and beyond, and everything was fine right until that yellow came out for debris, but managed to hang on after the restart. A lot of GT cars were trying to go on either side of me, but so that was a little scary, but hung on. Great for Acura, great for real time.
Pretty good day indeed. The driver points show P.D. Cunningham with a clinch. His record 6th championship in World Challenge over Hussein and Kevin Helms. And then, of course, you take a look at the manufacturer points. Acura had already clinched it. It gives them a record 9th championship, breaking the tie they had with Porsche. And speaking of Porsches, let's go to our MTM SpecialOpsWatch.com best move of the race. And it was the pass Porsche's James Safronis put on Jason Daskalos over in that turn 1, 2, 3 complex, squeezing the inside. And for our manufacturers fan championship, second day in a row here at VIR, Volvo. The fans coming out in droves. They liked winning it so much after round 10, they decided to really come out for round 11, and boy, did they. We've got more great racing coming up when we return. Round 12, the season finale from Utah.